If you're planning on querying your book for traditional publishing, you need to make sure that you do not miss those open submission windows for agents and publishing houses. Even some of the big 5 publishers open to unagented queries every once in a while for a very short amount of time. And if you don't know in advance, you can't get ready and you will miss those windows. So how can you as an author be aware of when these things are coming up? The first thing, of course, is going to be social media. You need to be on social media and follow all the ones that you could potentially want to submit to. That's agents, that's publishing houses, all of those things. Even if you are looking for the big 5, the big publishers, which you should be, small and medium publishers are not helpful anymore. So you want to make sure you're looking for the big ones. But even though you need an agent to get to them, sometimes they open up those unsolicited, unagented queries. And you got to be aware of those because they're short time frames. So go and follow them on social media. Sometimes they post about it, but also follow hashtags about them. If you know in the past they've had those open submission programs, follow the hashtags. There will be a trail of hashtags that you can be watching, you can be setting notifications for. And then you can pay attention to the agents, to the publishers, to the people who are putting things out. Sometimes there will be people who are talking about these open submissions. You can even follow like open submission hashtags. And you're going to be very, very mindful to check these every month, let's say at absolute minimum. You just want to check in, scroll through what they posted and see if there's anything that's going to be there. Social media is probably going to be a really, really instrumental part of you finding a lot of these open calls. But beyond that, you can also do something with Google Alerts. Now, I talk about Google Alerts for your name, for your books, for the projects that you're working on, because anytime Google sees something on the internet, and trust me when I say they don't catch everything, but they do catch some of the good stuff. If you have Google Alerts, which is a free thing for you, you don't have to pay for this, it will email you when those things pop up. So I talk about how you should set that for your name as an author. And so I get pinged anytime Google sees KM Robinson anywhere, and they send that information to me. That's how I found out I was featured in a whole bunch of really big magazines where I was quoted and nobody told me. And so you can actually set up Google Alerts for certain things. It doesn't have to be just you related words. So if you have a specific agent that you want to work with or a specific publisher, you can go in and type their name in with open submission or open query. You can set up a couple of different alerts with the different versions of that, but don't just set it for their name because then you're going to get information anytime anything says blank publishing house or this agent's name. So you want to tag it with name, open submission, or open query, something like that. And then you can get those notifications. You want to make sure you're very specific on the words that you use, and you can set a couple different kinds. So fill in the blank name, open submission is one. Fill in the blank name, open query is another. And then just monitor those alerts. You might get a lot and you might have to refine it. You might not get very many, but you might get the right ones. And so this is going to help you to kind of be alerted. And usually, not always, but usually I get pinged very early on when something goes up. I get it within an hour or two. Every once in a while, I'll get alerts like 48 hours, 2 weeks after the fact. But the more you do it, the more you're going to have coming into your inbox. So setting up those alerts is really, really helpful. Now, another thing that you can be doing is to get a group of friends together. You and your friends can then be responsible for monitoring different parts of the internet, different parts of the publishing space. Because manually watching and checking on these things is very time consuming. So if you have the project of figuring out when things are open submission and it's just you're doing 100% of the work. If, however, you have 5 friends and you're splitting it between the 6 of you, that's a lot less work. And so you are watching one section, your other friend is watching another section, friend 3 is watching another section, and so on. And then you report back to the group. So you have less that you're responsible for monitoring, and everybody benefits from that. So if you can get a collection of people together to watch what's happening and report back to each other, that's going to work really strongly in your favor. Now, if you are doing that, you need to have some meetings, you need to have some rules and guidelines, and everybody needs to know who is shopping around what type of books. Because if I'm looking for me and the group, but I'm only looking for the genres I'm writing in, I might not be able to report accurately for one of the other people in the group. So know what needs to be searched for and what needs to be represented. Because if I'm watching section A and I see nothing for me, but I do see something for one of the other people, I can report to that person. I can let them know, and they can do the same for me, even if we're not in the same genre. So you have to be very, very clear about the guidelines and expectations for a group like that, but it does help to save time and effort and make sure there's constant eyes on what's going on because you have less work, so you can be more mindful of your sector that you're paying attention to. When it comes to these open submissions, of course, make sure that you are following all the rules and regulations. Don't just throw your stuff at whoever's having an open submission. Make sure you send the appropriate content, the way that they are asking for it, and when and how and where they are asking for it. Because if you do not follow the rules, chances are they're not going to pick you up. So if you've got questions on the querying process, go ahead and drop those down below. We do have lots of episodes on it. We talk about this on our live streams a lot, and we want to make sure we are helping you to level up with what you're doing and how you're doing it. So this can be your most profitable year ever in the publishing space without a ton of extra time commitment and stress and overwhelm, especially as you're creating your content to market your books. So follow along for more inside of the publishing space, from your writing to your publishing to your marketing, to make sure you are thriving in your author life. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes.